Madam President, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States is one of the most important agencies. It's not one of the largest, but it has the responsibility to determine the safety and effectiveness of more products than most Americans can imagine. I've been a big fan of the Food and Drug Administration in the years that I've served in Congress. I've seen some wonderful things happen there. They're the ones who decide whether drugs are safe and effective before they can be sold in America. And they have regulatory authority over so many different issues. But it's sad to say, Madam President, the Food and Drug Administration of the United States of America today is at a crossroads. In fact, it may be in free fall. The agency's missteps, its close connection with the industries it regulates, its delayed response to formula safety, and decisions that fueled the opioid epidemic have shaken public confidence and endangered public health. But the FDA's ongoing incompetence and failure to regulate tobacco products stands in its own distinctive, grim category. Last month, the Food and Drug Administration announced a long-awaited decision to remove all e-cigarettes produced by Juul Company from the market after 2 years of scientific review of data that had been submitted by the company Juul to the Food and Drug Administration. Numerous federal health studies have determined that Juul is among the most popular e-cigarettes used by children. Let's get down to the bottom line. When the tobacco companies found their cigarettes falling into disfavor, they needed a replacement product. Their marketing proposal and strategy has always been addict children. They did it with cigarettes, they did it with tobacco products, whether they were spit tobacco or smoking products. And unfortunately, millions of Americans, particularly children, became addicted to their products. When those tobacco products fell out of favor, the industry needed a replacement. They found one in vaping and e-cigarettes. Today, at least 2 million American kids are addicted to e-cigarettes and vaping. If you don't believe me, ask a student in high school or middle school, what's going on with vaping? And you're going to be told the grim reality. Numerous federal health studies have determined that Juul is the most popular e-cigarette used by kids in America. More than 2 million children in America are using them, including 750,000 kids who became addicted to these products in the 9 months since the Food and Drug Administration missed a court-ordered deadline to regulate their products. That's right. The court ordered the Food and Drug Administration to regulate these products, and unfortunately, for 9 months, the FDA refused to do it. To put a new product, a tobacco product, on the market, an e-cigarette company has the burden to prove to the Food and Drug Administration that it's, quote, appropriate for the protection of public health, unquote, before they can put the product on the market. That's the law. Makes sense. You can't start selling a tobacco product in America at this point without FDA approval. And this is what the approval requires. It has to be appropriate for the protection of public health. Tobacco products can't prove that, neither can e-cigarettes. But FDA and Juul ignored this law for years as Juul sold its products without FDA authorization. I was relieved when FDA finally announced it was going to ban Juul's addictive, kid-friendly products after determining that the company could not prove they presented a public health benefit. For anyone who has spoken to a teenager, parent, or teacher in the last 5 years and seen the powerful addiction to nicotine that Juul causes, FDA's finding makes sense. So imagine my surprise when, after FDA Commissioner Califf called to tell me the good news, the agency, a few days later, suddenly reversed course. Not 2 weeks after ordering Juul off the market, the FDA backtracked and halted its own decision. Juul sued the FDA. Well, you expect that. These tobacco companies have more lawyers than sense. Big Tobacco loves nothing more than a lawsuit to preserve its ability to addict children to their products. Now FDA and Juul have jointly asked the D.C. Circuit Court to suspend the litigation now pending on their products while the FDA resumes its regulatory review. But here's what baffled me. Health experts and parents across America wonder, why is FDA in a legal free fall at this moment? One day they're banning the products, a week later they're putting them back on the market. When we need the agency the most, it's proven to be adrift, and lives are at stake. Juul is now free to continue selling its deadly products again, and FDA has now not stated how long they're going to suspend this litigation while they review information. FDA has a choice: rely on science and public health to protect America's kids, or cower to big tobacco's lawyers. Adding to the chaos on Friday, listen to this: we learned that the FDA is neglecting to enforce still another part of the law, which I passed this spring, that clarified their authority to cover synthetic nicotine. The tobacco companies thought they had found an escape hatch. They wouldn't have to justify their products if the nicotine wasn't derived from tobacco, but was derived from a synthetic source. We changed the law and made it clear that was not going to be a loophole. FDA sounded the alarm over this emerging public health challenge of e-cigarette companies trying to evade oversight, including the #1 e-cigarette used by children today. It's called Puff Bar. FDA has another deadline today to clear the market of unauthorized synthetic nicotine e-cigarettes. And I hope the agency doesn't repeat its history of failed enforcement. The FDA is a cop on the beat. They're supposed to protect all Americans, and protect our children in particular. They know there's a product on the market that's addictive to kids and leads them into a tobacco addiction. That product is e-cigarettes and vaping. The law says you can't sell the product until you prove it's effective for public health. The tobacco companies could never prove that. But yet the FDA allows them to continue to sell the product, to ignore the law, to ignore the court order, and does nothing. I don't know what it takes. I'm calling on the FDA to finally come to its senses. If you're going to err on the side of public health and public safety. Err on the side of kids, not tobacco companies. This free fall in the legal department at the FDA is unimaginable. It's not safe for America, and it's not safe for our future. I yield the floor.